What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and the fall gaming season is quickly approaching. Now, this has changed a bit over the course of the past couple of years, in my opinion, because games are now coming out in the spring and in the summer, and I'm talking about big AAA titles. For instance, Horizon Zero Dawn, like we saw earlier in the spring. But with that being said, the fall is still a very heavy time for games because publishers are pretty much gearing up for the big holiday season, where more games are going to be sold, and if there are new games on the market, then more people are going to be asking for games as presents from their friends and relatives. Now, this is great for the economy, of course, because it boosts up how many games are sold, and in general it pumps more money into the gaming industry so that we can get more development going on newer titles and whatnot. But it's also great for you and I so that we have something to play whenever it gets really cold outside and it's too cold to really live in general. I just don't like cold weather. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at my personal top 5 most anticipated games of the fall 2017 season. So the first game I am pretty pumped about is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is coming out on August the 22nd and features Chloe and Nadine, two significant characters from the rest of the Uncharted franchise, going after the Tusk of Ganesh across the country of India. So this actually began as a piece of DLC for Uncharted 4, and the team was so passionate about this project that it has pretty much evolved into the point where it is still technically a DLC, and if you have the season pass for Uncharted 4, you do have the Lost Legacy bundled in with that, but it is pretty much a standalone DLC in the same way that Wolfenstein had the New Order, which was the big standard release game, and then the Old Blood, which was technically a DLC, but it still functioned as its own standalone experience. Without a doubt, this is going to be an absolutely massive game, especially considering it is technically a DLC. It's almost as big as Uncharted 4 itself. But if that isn't enough content for you, it also comes with full access to the Uncharted 4 multiplayer, which is actually pretty solid as compared to the multiplayer we saw for, say, Uncharted 2. Generally, I don't endorse pre-ordering anything. However, I trust Naughty Dog, and you pretty much know what you are going to be getting. It is an Uncharted story told through the eyes of Chloe and Nadine. But with that being said, you also get a little bit of bonus content, which I think is pretty cool, and that is Jak and Daxter on the PlayStation 4 whenever it comes out later in August. So that is a pretty good piece of pre-order content if you were interested in that. Of course, I would never say to go out and pre-order this. I'm just saying, as far as quality and quality of content goes, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is a pretty safe bet, and again, it's coming out on August the 22nd. The next big game that I'm pretty excited about is actually Gran Turismo Sport, which is coming out on October the 17th, and I'm actually surprised that I'm excited for this because I'm not generally a huge racing game fan, but there's just something about Gran Turismo, the franchise as a whole, that just kind of does it for me. I don't know, it's just the feel of it on the PlayStation 4, 3, 2, whatever you might be playing Gran Turismo on. It's always been one of my favorite racing franchises, and so I'm excited to see it come back after what happened with Gran Turismo 6. For those that don't know, Gran Turismo 6 was pretty much caught up on the PlayStation 3, but during the hype of the PlayStation 4, so it really didn't get its time in the spotlight that it deserved. But with that being said, the game itself didn't look that great, it didn't run that great, and I'm not really sure how much limelight it really truly did deserve. It just simply wasn't that great of a racing game. Now, that being said, if you go back and you buy a discount PlayStation 3 now, it is a fantastic racing experience, but I would still take 5 over 6 any day of the week, and so therefore Sport has been in development to kind of redeem the Gran Turismo name and compete with all these new racing franchises that are popping up, and of course compete with the big daddy Forza Motorsport on the Xbox and Windows. So this upcoming game, Gran Turismo 6, has over 150 cars with 17 locations to race on in the base game. I'm sure there's going to be DLC later on down the line, at least I hope so. But there are multiple layouts per those 17 locations, so there are multiple ways you can race around the track, which does kind of change it up a bit from time to time. As far as how the game looks, it does run at 4K. It is also supporting HDR, so if you have one of those high-end PlayStation 4 Pros, you are going to be able to take full advantage of it within Gran Turismo Sport, which is something that a lot of those enthusiasts are definitely going to be excited about. Additionally, for fans of PlayStation VR, there is going to be a full virtual reality mode within the arcade mode of Gran Turismo Sport, so take that, Drive Club VR. Next up, we've got Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is coming out on November the 17th. Now, the reboot from 2015 did a lot of stuff right. The game was visually impressive. It was absolutely gorgeous. The sound design was fantastic, and it did stay true to the Star Wars universe. But as a whole, with the Star Wars universe itself being so full of story and lore, to have no single-player campaign just left 2015's Battlefront feeling a kind of hollow shell of what it could have been. So Battlefront 2, at least the 2017 Battlefront 2, not the one that I grew up on, is bringing a full campaign into the mix featuring an elite Imperial Inferno squad with a story that has not been told anywhere else in the Star Wars universe, but that does tie into the overarching lore of the entire franchise. As kind of a tie-in to that, the multiplayer is now going to stretch through every era of the Star Wars universe instead of just the original saga like the 2015 reboot did, meaning you are still going to have content from those core movies that fans have grown to love over the years, but you are also going to be seeing content from the prequels all the way up until the most recent movies that have been coming out and everything in between. The E3 footage was gorgeous, the maps look huge, the weapons and the sound design sounded great on the stream that I was watching, so I am incredibly excited to see what Battlefront 2 does bring to the table whenever it does come out on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC this November. The next game I'm super excited about is Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, which is coming out on October the 27th. Now, a couple of years back, whenever the New Order came out along with the Old Blood, it kind of reignited a passion for this legendary franchise, being Wolfenstein, of course, in a lot of gamers that I hadn't seen in a very long time, and it looks like the New Colossus is going to continue that trend, featuring the same protagonist and a continuing story with BJ Blazkowicz. So essentially, the story picks back up with Blazkowicz in America this time, where pretty much it is being controlled by Nazis, and he has to scour the American landscape, finding these rebellion leaders to try and put together this elite team of people to try and overthrow the Nazi regime. I love the concept of this story just because of how unique it is, and I know that the writers behind this game are going to mix comedy in with the serious nature of having a Nazi-controlled America. It just sounds like something I'm going to get completely and totally infatuated with, and on top of that, I love the idea of seeing all of these dystopian American cities that are being controlled by a Nazi regime and how they look similar and you can recognize some stuff, but it's just kind of jarring to see it with all this Nazi memorabilia around. So if it's anything like The New Order, which I consider to be one of the best first-person shooters of this generation of consoles, then I cannot wait to see what Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus brings whenever it comes out on October the 27th. The last game to make the list is more so one that I have more of a morbid curiosity about, and that is Assassin's Creed Origins, which is also coming out on October the 27th. Now, I say that I have a morbid curiosity because I have not had faith in the Assassin's Creed franchise in a number of years now. The last one I truly enjoyed was 4, but I don't even consider that an Assassin's Creed game. The last Assassin's Creed game, at least to my definition, that I truly did enjoy was probably Assassin's Creed Revelations, and I can't help but be a little bit curious about Origins and if it is truly coming back to the origins of where the franchise started. Now, as the name hints, this game is going back to the very origin of the Assassin Brotherhood, which is something we've all been very curious about, and it's going to be cool to be able to play this rather than just read about it through lore or through online forums or anything along those lines. But aside from that, I also like the idea of the Origins name coming out in the actual gameplay, and especially the layout of the map and the nature of ancient Egypt. I feel like the game is going to be really similar to Assassin's Creed 2 because I'm sure that you are going to be able to go around and loot these big tombs and whatnot that you would find within pyramids. It seems like, in my mind, the layout of ancient Egypt is going to be kind of similar to that of the Italian Renaissance, where you have different levels of buildings. I hope they incorporate some of that kind of running mechanic that we saw within games like Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Assassin's Creed 3, where you kind of can dive through windows and whatnot and cut through instead of having to climb over. I hope they incorporate some of that in, but I'm overwhelmingly just excited to see where the franchise has ended up as it's coming back to its very roots. So overall, I think we have a huge country to explore with a ton of side quests that are each unique. There are no more errand boy quests. They all have a specific story, and whenever you do run into enemies within those specific stories, you've got over 100 weapons at your disposal within the game, and all of that sounds like something I can definitely get excited about, but I am tempering my expectations. I do hope that Assassin's Creed Origins stays true to its name and maintains what the original Assassin's Creeds brought to the table that got gamers hooked to begin with, but I also hope that through the new kind of fighting mechanics system that they are introducing and the new kind of exploration systems and the in-depth quest, I hope that they redefine what Assassin's Creed is going forward, because guys, it's not 2007 anymore. We have to bring something new to the table for Assassin's Creed to survive, as we've seen with the past couple of games, which have not been well received, if we're being honest with each other. And so that wraps it up for my 5 most anticipated games of the 2017 fall gaming season. Let me know what games you are looking forward to in the comments section down below. And of course, remember, all of these games are my own personal picks for what I am personally excited about. I'm not saying these are going to be the top 5 sellers. I'm just saying these are the games that I have my eye on. But I hope you guys have had a fantastic week. I will talk to you on Monday with the drop. Peace.